Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Hope you are having a great day. Ready for some new drama from Askalawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's half-brother, who was upset that his mother had an affair behind his father's back. Well, OP didn't help the situation by revealing to him another family secret. Listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My mom discovered my dad was cheating when I was 15. They divorced. My dad married the woman who was then pregnant with the child they had conceived through the affair. Over time, my mom forgave them, and I did too. I'm not all buddy-buddy with my stepmom, but I don't hate her like I did when I was a teenager. I also love my brother that came from that relationship to bits and pieces. He's now 20, I'm 35. We're very close, despite our age gap. He had no idea what happened to cause his conception or his parents getting together. Recently, it came out that my stepmom has been having an affair. It was very public, very nasty, and overall just very dramatic. My brother is so upset and was constantly at my place ranting about how his mom was so terrible and how could she do this to dad? Why was dad staying with her? He was a mess, and I was trying to console him. After a few visits, he asked why I was so calm. I blew it off and said, "Well, she's not my mom." And he said, "Yeah, but it's your dad." I said he could handle himself. He pressed, saying from the minute I found out, I didn't seem surprised. I just ignored him and tried to go on, but he was being pushy. He brought it up over a few days and started asking if his mom had cheated in the past. I said to ask her. He said she wouldn't discuss it. I said ask dad then. He won't either. Fine, then let's discuss something else. No, he wanted to know. After a week at least of him not letting the subject drop, I finally told him. I said I didn't know if she had cheated on our dad, but that she had helped my dad cheat on my mom. I didn't add that's how he was conceived. I didn't put in a timeline. He doesn't know when my parents divorced, so he won't be able to put it together. I said it was all in the past. He said clearly not, as she was still doing it. My dad is pissed at me, saying I had no right to say it. I said he wouldn't stop asking, and it's not as if he has a squeaky clean image of his mom right now as it is. My brother's not even mad at my dad right now, just his mom, and I've been trying to convince him to just calm down and talk to her. Was I a jerk for exposing this? Ouch, someone had karma bite their butts. OP's dad chose to have an affair. He shouldn't expect OP to keep his secrets. Deep secrets like this don't stay buried, and OP's brother is an adult. Also, OP's dad was okay with OP's brother knowing his mom cheated and being pissed at her, but gets pissy when his dirty laundry of doing the exact same thing is aired. OP's dad is now mad that he doesn't look like the perfect victim and that his past transgressions are coming to light. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Your turn, AJ says. Not the a-hole. Your dad cheated on your mom with your stepmom, and your dad is surprised that his crappy choice is coming back to bite him when his new wife, the stepmom, is revealed to be having an affair. Essentially, history just repeating itself. You are nothing other than a person stuck in the middle of adults acting like children. Nothing more, nothing less. AKA Mike David says, not the a-hole. Both your dad and stepmom had ample opportunity to address it, but they decided to sweep it under the rug and hope your stepbrother would relent. But he didn't, and he's an adult, so he should be able to handle these things. Good on you to do what the older adults were unwilling to do. Past Librarian says, not the a-hole. Your dad is the a-hole. He not only cheated on your mom and left her, but he's pissed that you told your brother the truth, which he definitely has a right to know. Karma's a witch, though. I was at dinner last night with my family and family friends. This group consisted of my sister, dad, stepmom, and other family. My dad and the father of the other family like to play a game called credit card roulette, where at the end of the meal, you put a few people's cards on the table and ask the waiter to pick one. Whichever person's card he picks, that person pays. Anyways, last night my dad and the other father put their cards down, and then my stepmom decides to put her card down, which leads to the other family member's mother to put her card down. My stepmom looks at me and my sister to put our cards down, but we say no. My sister is a school teacher, and I'm a college student working this summer making $8 an hour. We can't afford to pay this bill if our cards get picked. My stepmom gets offended for some reason and tells us we're both entitled and think we deserve a free meal. My father invited us to dinner, and he's always paid for us, every time we've gone out. This is ironic because my stepmom doesn't work. She is fully supported by my dad, so the card she put on the line is a credit card that my dad pays off. So it didn't even affect her, even if her card got picked. I told her that she doesn't have a job, earns no money for herself, and that she has no business calling anyone entitled, because she herself feels entitled to the entire lifestyle my dad has provided her the past 10 years. As you can probably guess, the wait for the check felt like an eternity of awkward silence. My father texted me this morning saying I should just apologize to her because I upset her. But I think she should apologize to me for calling me entitled unjustifiably last night. Was I the a-hole for calling her out on the irony, or should I just have kept my mouth shut? OP is entitled because OP works to pay for her own stuff and can't waste all of her pay on one meal? That's rich. The response was perfect. If she wants to play the mooch card, throw the mirror in her face. OP's father needs to grow a pair and not let her speak to OP that way. Apologizing won't do anything but validate her very entitled and stupid feelings, and I'd tell them they can both apologize to OP. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Deleted user says, "Not the a-hole. She started it, and normally I don't like that mentality, but she started it. You wouldn't have said those things to her if she didn't call you entitled." So Lipsicon says, "Not the a-hole. Parasites should know their place, and the reminder won't hurt your dad either." G. Kinslayer says, "Not the a-hole. Stepmom, I want to apologize for informing you of reality, and sorry the facts make you unhappy, since it makes it clear you were full of it. Hey stepmom, tell you what, once you get off your entitled butt and work, maybe we can talk. Until then, just keep sitting on your butt." So, I, 19 male, have a stepsister, 18 female, who's pregnant, and I don't know about her situation with the dad. I was only staying with my mom for a few months because my grandmother, whom I'm very close with, is sick, which my mom's house is the halfway point between my grandmother's house and college. I was paying bills while I was living there. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. My stepsister was always an entitled bee. It's the reason I lived between my grandmother and father since I was 12. She is the main character in all situations, and I won't lie, I hate her because of it. So do her bio-siblings, who are great people. She's now 5 months pregnant. She's living with my mom and stepdad, which no shame on her for, but she acts as if she's the first pregnant woman ever. She's taken the master bedroom with the attached bathroom that our parents used to own, and now the downstairs bathroom is off limits for everyone except her. You can't touch her food, but she can eat yours, even if it's in your room. We are all expected to be her servants, even my half-sister who is 7 years old. She doesn't believe in picking up after herself, and I'm talking putting her clothes in the laundry basket or taking her dirty dishes to the sink. Anyone with a license is expected to drive for her wherever she wants to go. Plus, we have to help pay for her and her baby's crap because family. I won't lie, I can't wait till my dad and stepmother are back in the country to move in with them because her attitude and pregnancy annoy the duck out of me. Lately, my mom and her husband think I'm her personal servant because I'm older. I've bitten my tongue due to peace sake for my siblings, step-siblings, but it all came to a head today. Around 2 a.m., she came into my room, which I share with 2 of my step-siblings, 10 male, 14 non-binary, and told me I need to get her a list of McDonald's food, which added up to 29 pounds, without giving me a penny. I asked her to wait till tomorrow, but she started yelling at me to get my lazy butt up and tried to guilt me. So I told her I wasn't the father and that I don't owe her crap. So either wait till tomorrow or piss off. About this time, everyone woke up due to her yelling. My mother demanded I apologize and go. So I looked at my stepsister and told her to walk to McDonald's, 5 miles, if she has cravings. She said she would, and if anything happened, it would be my fault. I told her duck off and went back to sleep. Well, today I was told to leave till my attitude changed, and I was man enough to help look after my niece, and now I'm sleeping on my grandmother's couch. My grandmother is heartbroken over all the drama, which has led me to feeling like a piece of crap. Well, I think OP is definitely not in the wrong here. If I was OP, I would leave and never go back. If she's this bad before the baby is born, can you imagine what happens once the baby is born and she's a single mother? Maybe at some point OP can help the other siblings escape that hellhole. That situation will never get any better and will get far worse. Puzzle-headed Key 347 says, "Not the a-hole. The irony of her having a newborn, yet acting like one, needing help for such small things. Don't feed, support her laziness. Keep telling her to piss off." Status Pattern 7539 says, "Not the a-hole. It's unreasonable to wake someone at 2 a.m. for cravings and not even offer the money to pay for the cravings. Her behavior, if post is accurate, is disgusting and entitled. Your family are enabling her. I'm starting to see why baby daddy ain't in the picture. I'm pregnant, about to pop, and if I behave like this, my partner would leave me." Upiku says, "Eileen, not the a-hole. You have zero obligation to her or her child. I hate it when people use family as a reason to guilt someone into doing something. If it had been at a normal hour, I would have said just go get her food to shut her up. The fact that she was willing to wake you and your siblings up is not only rude, but disrespectful." I, 18 male, am a triplet. We're all identical. James is the eldest, followed by Tom, followed by me. We recently started uni together, having moved from an affluent area of London to the north of England. Our family is pretty well off, and all three of us will graduate with zero debt. Sometime last week, I was approached by a girl I vaguely recognized as one of Tom's friends, and she congratulated me on my scholarship before asking me about where I'd thrifted my designer jumper from. It wasn't thrifted. I just bought it. Needless to say, I was ducking baffled. I figured she'd confused me with someone else and awkwardly left. I mentioned it to James later that evening when we got home, and he mentioned something similar had happened to him. Something about a guy asking where he found a second-hand MacBook in such good condition. We asked Tom about it when he got home, and he turned really shifty. We eventually got it out of him that he didn't want people to think he was rich, so he told his newfound friends that he came from a poor part of London, and that we'd won scholarships to private schools our whole lives. Obviously, this is all BS. We were privately educated, and grew up in Ducking Kensington for crying out loud. We both told him to knock it off, because being identical, we can't exactly pretend not to be related while he lives this little working-class fantasy. He said he would and promised to correct his friends. A couple of days later, another girl approached me outside my building and asked me about applying for the same uni scholarship you have. I pressed her for more information, and she told me that Tom had told her I'd won a scholarship for uni, and that was how we afford to live in a private apartment. I proceeded to tell her he was talking out of his butt, and that our parents paid for the apartment. I also corrected a few other misconceptions about our financial status. Word must have spread quickly, because Tom was practically foaming at the mouth when he got home. He screamed at me that I should have just gone along with it, and that now his friends don't want to talk to him. I told him it was his own fault for crying poverty. James told me he thought I was right to correct Tom's friends, but I should have some sympathy for Tom's insecurities about being wealthy, and that he was probably worried about being taken advantage of for being well off. Am I the a-hole? Master Manipulation says, "Not the a-hole. While it's fine not to tell the world your socioeconomic background, you shouldn't tell huge lies by crying that you're either rich or poor. It's his own fault for telling an easily proved lie." Zel Galande says, "Not the a-hole. On one hand, he was probably trying to avoid being threatened, too nicely, not the a-hole. On one hand, he was probably trying to avoid being treated too nicely for having money. That I can understand. But he claimed to be really struggling, and that can be hurtful to people who are actually struggling. Good example is the girl who said she wants to apply to the same scholarship, knowing it was such a big financial help, only to find out it doesn't exist, and she has to find other means. If he wants to hide the fact you're from a well-off family, he could have done that much easier by pretending to be average than stirring up sob stories to pretend to be poor." Krasny Red 5 says, "Not the a-hole. This is a good lesson in why pretending to be something you're not isn't a good idea. I'm not saying you need to flaunt your wealth, but be honest with people, especially if you want those people to be your friends." My son was married to Emma. They got married and had a kid. Apparently, he had doubts about if he was the father and got a DNA test. He was not, but has been in the kid's life for 4 years, and his name is on the birth certificate, so he is legally responsible, and he still loves the kid. Now, my issue is that before they divorced, I was never allowed near the grandkid. I asked to babysit, but they both cited that my home was unsafe, and they do not trust me with a baby, even if I raised 4 kids. They wouldn't even bring the kid to family events like Christmas. They did this with all of his siblings. I know I'm more country than them, but it hurt a lot. My other kid's relationship with him is strained because they believe he is looking down on them after he got a city job. Now, after the divorce, he has the kid almost 50% of the time, and he keeps asking me to babysit. I told him straight up that I will not babysit the kid, since she's not my grandkid, and you made it clear I wasn't good enough to babysit when you thought she was your kid. Huge argument, and he thinks I'm awful. I just think he wants someone to parent due to not being able to rely on his ex-wife anymore. Lady Kaya says, not the a-hole. It's not about the DNA. It's about snubbing you before. Mara 1506 says, not the a-hole. This has more to do with his behavior towards you when he was married than the kid not being your biological grandkid. But now that he suddenly needs help, Grandma is suddenly safe and fine. He probably expects free babysitting. I suspect the kid being kept away from your family was more his ex's doing than your son's. I'd like to hear her reasons why she would withhold him not just from Grandma, but most of the family. If you are going to babysit, do it for market rate. Regular Swordfish 85 says, not the a-hole. The reason you are not this kid's grandparent isn't because of a DNA test. It is because your son and son's ex didn't allow you to be. Your son has no right to ask you anything regarding his kid.